Okay, so good morning, and it's like crazy early, and I have to talk quietly because it's 4 a.m. But I probably won't have time to do anything else today, so I thought I'd write or talk now. Not really write, talk. And I'm super tired, but that's okay. So, anyway, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about how you can use your influences that you've had in your work. And I thought that I would address the fact that most of what I write and what I create and film and my music even, everything has got this weird dystopian science fiction kind of vibe to it. Um, and the reason behind this, and I had to really think about it, was a few different reasons. For one thing, my family was really obsessed with Star Wars growing up. So we would listen to the Star Wars Christmas album every year at Christmas time, which has hits like, "What can you get a Wookiee for Christmas when he already owns a comb?" Which is a very important philosophical question. And other songs like R2D2, "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." A Merry Christmas! And things like that. If you have not checked out the Star Wars Christmas album, I'll put the link below because it is priceless. Anyway, I remember going to like a robot convention when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I saw this gigantormous poster of all these crazy robots that were really, really big back then. Which, we all thought would, Jetson style be in our houses by now, like cleaning the house. But as you can see, this never quite matriculated. So that was one of my influences. We loved Star Wars and Star Wars jokes. My brother and my sister and I used to speak to each other, like Yoda, yes, good idea. And we still kind of do that. My parents were super crazy overprotective, so pretty much my brother and my sister and I hung out together and had the same weird sense of humor, because we just hung out with each other, and the Star Wars weirdness thing just kind of perpetuated itself over time. Which reminds me, if you do like Star Wars, one of my most popular videos is a costume for Rey that I made for my daughter, that does not involve sewing because I cannot sew. Anyway, and I'll put the link for that down there too. So that was one of my big influences. Star Wars. Yes, that's pretty cliche, but it's true. I loved all those fun action movies. In fact, when they came out with Stranger Things, that this past year, I was one of those people that had to like binge watch it because it totally reminded me of every single movie that I loved as a kid, from Goonies to E.T., even Poltergeist. It just had a little bit of everything. Yeah, I liked Poltergeist. Anyway, so that was one of my influences. Another influence was that I really was into, novels like Frankenstein or The Invisible Man, anything H.G. Wells. Also, really liked Sherlock Holmes, which is not sci-fi, but I really liked it. Liked reading every one of those books when he came back. Surprise. I also read a lot of other kinds of books too, like the Jane Austen kind of books. But clearly in my work, I really suck at trying to create romance. Every time I do, it's always either cyborgs or like it ends tragically. I don't know. So that was one of my influences as well. Another influence is when I was about 12 or so, I spent a good year and a half studying the end times and the book of Revelation in depth. I spent time reading every book you could possibly think of. Books that used passages from Daniel and Ezekiel and passages from Revelation and from Matthew and kind of, cross referenced each one of them with the historical times of the time. And I think one of my favorite books, which shows you how crazy all this studying was, had a picture of Saddam Hussein in the front, and how he was the Antichrist. And for those who don't remember this guy, he looks like Super Mario, but he was a really bad dude. Oh, and he died like a long time ago. Anyway, so you can always Google him. But yeah, so I used to read those kind of books all the time, and I was really, really into the whole end time kind of thing where, you look at the news and then you compare the news to what you've read in the books, and then you read the commentary, and then you compare the commentary back over to Revelation, and you just kind of keep doing this crazy thing. It kind of becomes this huge conspiracy theory kind of thing, which was very interesting, and I guess for me as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, was pretty entertaining. And I kind of kept on with some of that stuff as a teenager, and kind of grew out of it by the time I graduated from high school, when I kind of came to the conclusion that people were selling lots of books on this stuff, but they had no clue what they were talking about. And while it was interesting, it really, to me, just seemed like another facet of science fiction. And for those of you out there who might do that kind of research and stuff, kudos to you. But yeah, just, like I said, I mean, at that time they were like, Saddam Hussein will take over the world with the world order. But anyway, the world order they've been talking about for, gosh, decades. I mean, probably since my grandparents' time. Anyway, so that was kind of interesting, and that was a huge influence as well. So all these things kind of combined, and then you add to that life experiences, which can be very difficult, and it's a lot easier to express those in a science fiction dystopia where like cyborgs take over the world and that kind of a thing, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket, instead of actually dealing with things, I guess. And so you'll see that there's always like this darker component to a lot of my work. I was the kind of kid who liked reading, my favorite book was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which is all about this man who essentially wants to live forever and makes this really foolish wish, and a portrait of himself begins to age, and he stays immortal, hypothetically. Won't give any spoilers. It's a really short book, so you could totally read it like in a night, if you so care to. And I'm sure it's online somewhere. And I'll see if I can find it if I have time and put a link below. Yeah, so essentially, he kind of becomes this evil creature, this really awful person. I believe he commits murder, and he does this terrible things. And he doesn't age. He doesn't get affected. However, his portrait does. 2 seconds. I'll be right back. Sorry, I have a newborn, and he's probably waking up soon. So anyway, so why I like that book, and I guess why it related to me, was not so much that I'm an evil genius, because obviously I'm not immortal, and I'm not dashingly handsome. However, what I thought was interesting was the whole premise of on the outside looking one way, and on the inside something being the other way. And that was kind of my reality at that time. So anyway, so that's a little bit about my influences, and I've got to go. So peace.